Hey everybody, it's Dan. Welcome back and welcome to another unusual video from me focusing on Games Workshop again of all things. But I'm kind of between reviews right now. I've got some things in the mail that I'll be reviewing for you guys shortly. I'm kind of between hobby projects right now, by which I mean I have like a bunch of stuff that's half completed that I can't really share with you yet because I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of like sharing work in progress stuff. So as a result, I'm just kind of left to thinking about stuff, and some of these thoughts I wanted to share with you guys. I also am the kind of guy that reads the financial summaries from Games Workshop, and since I just did a video on their miniatures, which I shared those thoughts on, I wanted to share my thoughts on the business because I do have, as I mentioned in that last video, I have an economics background. That was my undergrad. I work in corporate accounting. I have an MBA. None of that's a flex, like to say that I know what I'm talking about. Again, it's just by way of explanation why I'm the kind of dork that goes through these financial summaries. I'll keep this all at a very high level just to make it as approachable as possible. If you're totally uninitiated with Games Workshop's financial summaries, they put these out every year. They're not financial statements, which will have a lot of this information, but it will actually, a financial statement would explain where these numbers came from, right? It would show all of the nitty gritty of what comprises these numbers. These are really like more like presentations for investors. So they put these out every year. They actually have half year results too, which have similar information, but on the half year mark. I'm showing you this. This is again the financial summary on Games Workshop's website. This is all available to you guys too if you wanted to find it. It's under like their investor relations section. And as I said, they've got year and half year results going back for at least a decade. And I'm just showing you this because I wanted to show you where the information I got that I transcribed into Excel, because I'm again the kind of nerd that would transcribe this stuff into Excel for analysis. But that's where all this information is coming from. You can see core revenue, licensing revenue, profits, some information on revenues at constant currency, which is just saying like if I made this revenue last year, how much would it have been worth for inflation purposes. So it's all really interesting information. Again, I said all of that by way of explanation to show you where these numbers all came from, because what I've done is I've actually broken down the last 5 years of financial statements to look at them side by side. And it's pretty impressive stuff. Whether you agree with Games Workshop's pricing, whether or not you agree with their business practices, I don't. But again, as a student of business, someone who's been watching the company over the years, the numbers are pretty staggering. And what they point to is that, again, whether you agree with their decisions or not, from an investment standpoint, from a business standpoint, whether that's good for the hobby or not, again, I'm trying to be as careful as I can here, their decisions have been successful for the company and for investors. And so again, like if we just look at revenue, for example, today, 565, this is all in millions of British pounds, just so we're totally clear. So 565 million pounds is what they made in core revenue this year. Core revenue is from the sale of products, right? So books, paints, supplies, miniatures, all the stuff that Games Workshop sells, that's what they call core revenue. And you can see it's 565 million pounds today. 5 years ago, it was 269 million pounds, right, for the same thing. So they're making more money. They're selling more stuff. And that's already pretty good. But obviously what's most important is how much money do you net at the end of the day after you subtract all of your expenses. And that's 3 or 4 rows down. You see where it says core profit. I've broken that out. It's 211 million pounds on 565 million pounds of revenue today. So they sell a box of Space Marines, and they're going to net a certain amount of money, and that very consistently has been hovering between like 35 and 45% net that they make at the end of the day after they pay for all the lights, all the manufacture of goods, all the admin, salaries, etc. They're pocketing usually around 40% of whatever it is they're selling something at. So you can see that there. That's been really consistent and consistently growing. You can see over the last 5 years, they went from 73 million pounds in profit up to 211 million pounds today. This year is actually the first year that on core profit alone, they've broken 200 million pounds. I think that was something that was mentioned in the financial summary as well as something worth applauding, which again, it's impressive looking at these numbers. Whether this is at the expense of the hobby overall, again, that's not what I'm here to analyze. It's just looking at these raw numbers. Licensing revenue and profits, another interesting one. That is from, as you might guess, like royalties on games like Total War Warhammer or any of the like 40K mobile games that you might see ads for. So they make money, of course, anytime somebody uses their IP. legitimately. And so you can see here what they did is like 4 or 5 years ago, they were just treating it as a line item under their profits because there was essentially no overhead to it. Now it looks like they actually have employees that work in their like licensing department, because you can see they made 52 million pounds in revenue and they netted 49 million pounds. Still really strong margins for royalties, as it should be. But you can see that's a change from 5 years ago where they had, it wasn't listed as revenue, it was just 16.8 million pounds in pure profit from royalties. But even that, if you look at that number, is up to 49 million pounds today. So massive growth in their royalties, licensing of their IP as well over the last 5 years. It's a huge uptick in that. And what that's led to, you can see down a couple rows beneath that, I have some percentages that I've broken out. Again, this isn't from the financial summary. This is just some analysis I was doing, where you can see there's been a drop in the percent of profit from core sales, which isn't to say that their profit is decreasing. It's actually growing. You can see not only are they making more money, so again, like going back 5 years, 73 million pounds in profit on core sales, up to 211 million pounds today. It actually represents a growth, not only relative to the amount that they're selling, but a growth overall in core profit percentages, which is also really impressive. But the reason that number is decreasing, the percent of profits that come from core sales is going down precisely because licensing profit is skyrocketing. It's not that the core business unit is doing worse, it's just licensing is doing so good that it's outpacing the core sales. So anyway, all of this points to a company that is growing, doing very successfully. So again, for all of the moaning that we all do about their business practices, the sale of their goods, for anybody that's still like buying Space Marines, like this is why they are increasing their pricing, right? Like I'm not trying to blame any of you, but it's all of us collectively that are, if we keep buying their products at the prices that they're selling them at, they're going to keep increasing the price of their products, right? Because there's nothing in any of their financial summaries that indicates any problems, right? From the executive suite looking at these numbers, they should continue the course that they're on in exactly the way they've been doing it. If anything, they should keep accelerating these decisions that they've been making because they're working. So anyway, that's the main takeaway here, is they're not changing their practices anytime soon because they're making money at a faster rate than they were making it 3 or 4 years ago. So keep that in mind. I don't know if any of this is actually interesting to anybody, but it was something that I found interesting and thought that I would share, and something I'll continue to keep an eye on. If it is something that interests you, let me know. I can do other analyses like this. But in the meantime, I'll be switching back to some review content here very shortly once my boxes arrive. Some more hobby content to follow after that. But I appreciate all of you for your patience. And in the meantime, happy gaming.